Hi, Master Dan Segara for Tang Soo TV. Today we're going to talk about Irshusik Deryan. Now, this particular video may be controversial for some of you because it's going to tackle some what people might think are traditions. The science of the practice of Irshusik Deryan came by way of one of Aitosu's students. Aitosu is the master that created the Pyongan forms, and he had a student, and he introduced the martial arts to the educational system in Okinawa, to the grade school children. So we owe a huge debt of gratitude to him, because really that's how martial arts started to really spread and get out of the more tribal, clan-like practice and into the general populace. So Aitos had a student, and Yabu was an official in the Japanese army. And he took the military aspects of the army training, yes sir, saluting, bowing in that instance, and he incorporated that into the class format. So the meditation, the saluting, the junior senior aspect of it, and the one steps, we can really thank him for that. Now, if you ever watch old army films, typically you'll see them have, when they do like bayonet practice on the hanging mannequins, they'll step back, and they'll come in with the bayonet, and they'll stab the bayonet, and they'll practice like that. So that military practice fell into the practice of one step. So people would go back, pow, and then step forward, right? Now the problem with that is, first of all, it's not one step, it's two steps. You're going back one, then you're stepping forward two. So it's not one step sparring anymore. So to call it one step sparring when it's that. Now some of you say, well, Segara, you're kind of splitting hairs on that because you're really actually taking one step forward. So we're going to ignore the one step back? It's still a step. It's a two-step sparring practice. Even when you do three steps is four steps. So this practice came by way of the Japanese army and was taught to grade children, and then it was introduced to the army, and so that practice developed and grew and came through to Korea by that way. Now, it developed some seriously bad habits if you think about it from a self-defense aspect. If I were to step back and challenge you, and you stay there in front of me, and then let me advance, going through all the ranges that you could have struck me before I got to you, okay, you made a huge tactical error. So when they step back, I teach my students, step back. He's threatening me, you better be ready. And when they come into range, I'm going to destroy you. I'm going to come in with attacks, 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 attacks. I'm not going to let you get all the way over here and then go into a defensive mindset. So from that range, it should be attack, 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 attack. However, in the medium to short range, that's like a social range. So now I don't know when if that person may attack me or not. So at that point, I might flip over to being defensive. So, you know, you have to keep that in mind. Now, we want to not teach our students things that are going to be detrimental to them later on. So we have to seriously reevaluate whether or not the practice of stepping back is actually good practice. In my opinion, it is not. Now, so what do? Well, from here we measure, and then we just step straight in, and that's a one step. See, now I don't like the practice of throwing 18 punches the same height, the same way every time, and then coming up with 18 different ways. There's an old story about a fox and a hound, where the fox was running through the woods, avoiding the hounds that were hunting him, and he comes upon a squirrel. And he says to the squirrel, he's huffing and puffing, the squirrel says, hey, fox, what's up? And the fox says, oh, well, I'm escaping the hounds. And the squirrel goes, well, that's pretty good. He goes, I got one technique I do, and it works pretty good for me. And the fox goes, well, I have 100, so I have 99 more ways than you. Okay? And then the squirrel goes, well, you know, my one way works pretty good. And then as the fox is bragging about his being so smart, his 99 ways, the hounds came over the hill. The squirrel did his one trick, and he ran up the tree. The fox stood there and said, which one should I do? Number 1, number 2, number 3, and the hounds got him. So the point is, you know, vary it a little bit. So we do a hammer strike, a sudo, a yuk sudo, and a palm strike. And we'll explain why in a minute. But I like the students to learn how to defend against the different attacks using the basic techniques. So now they're actually learning to use high block, inside block, low block, and outside block in a very effective way, as opposed to teaching them those basics and then they don't use them that much when they one steps do something different. Okay, different is good, but we want to, you know, I'm a firm believer in taking a technique and getting as much out of it as you can before you go on to something else. So with that, we're going to now demonstrate and teach the one-step 2.0. Okay, so a basic drill that will help teach the hand techniques. The first basic set of hand techniques is a very simple drill that can be added to palputki or maki exercise as part of that practice. So how we normally start it is, they start from chunbi, they cross hands, here! Now it could also be started right out of palputki after you do so many punches. The way I teach it is we start off with the punches, then right from the punches, after we do double punches, triple punches, then we work at blocks. Okay? We work our regular blocks. We do about 10 each. And then from there, we work our hand attacks. So we have the hammer, sudo, sudo, yoksudo, yoksudo, changguan, changguan, from the shoulder, side chop, side chop. Now, the defenses can be done against either low yoksudo. Could be done this way or this way. Against the side chop or the palm, could be the outside-inside block. So that's up to you as the instructor to see which one the students have an easier time with. Sometimes for the beginners, it's kind of hard to coordinate that. It's a lot easier just to step in with a straight palm. So you may want to opt for that and have them practice both against the palm and against the sudo. But the concept is we're attacking here, 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 and then we're attacking here. So we're making a full circle, and then we attack down the center. So the attacks, the attacks is not what matters, it's the angle. So this is here, but this could also be here. This is here. This could also be here. Okay, this is here, but it could also be this side, and this could also be this side. Okay, just like palms can be punches. Okay, could be spear hands, whatever. As long as it follows that angle. It's the angle that's important. So if someone's throwing a chop, that could be this kind of punch. It's irrelevant. It's the angle that's the most important. So this can also be done with a partner. So Mr. Peters. Okay, so how we do it this way is we do one knuckle distance, and then we both make a chunbi. We cross hands, we drop. Then I'll attack with a hammer strike, 1, and then 2, and then we could do 10 of these or 2 of these. And then you do middle chop, 2, and then low chop, 2, and then jangguan. Other hand, please. You gotta keep switching. And then again, and then he attacks me with the hammer. 1, 2, side chop, 3, 4, low chop, 5, 6, and then palm, 7, and 8. So you just keep alternating hands. So the idea there being is to take that from a practice, solo practice, to a partner practice. And then from there, going into a stepping back practice. So this way, there's some flow from the basics into the partner work. Now, it brings up an important point about instinct versus tactics. Instinct is when your body flinches, the way your body flinches and moves to a natural attack or threat. Tactics is what you think, and you move from a more prepared mind versus a more instinctive mind. So in Tangsudo, the way we have been taught is to usually turn the hip and then block. Turn the hip and block. Turn the hip and block. Now, against a one strike technique, that's very difficult to do because you're doing 2 motions. You're doing a 2-motion movement, and your partner's doing a 1-motion movement, and you're also behind the 8 ball because they got a head start by initiating the attack. So that doesn't make sense there. Instead, the motion makes more sense if this is the instinctual part, and then this is the tactical part. So now if you look at an attack as somebody pushing and then hitting, similarly like we talked about when the attackers roll, where they set up the hip by pushing this hand out and then stepping in, then it makes more sense. So let me borrow Mr. Peters again. So, for example, if we're in this distance and he tries to push me, just be careful with the microphone here, so push here. Okay, he goes to push me, that's where my instinctual motion can come in. And then when he goes to strike, this is where my tactical motion comes in. So if he goes like this and then like that, this is my instinct, that's my tactic. Okay, I'll do it this way. He goes to push, this is, it doesn't matter. This is my instinct and this is my tactic. Okay, so instinct versus tactic. And why train it in a horse stance? Well, because if he pushes and I don't turn my hip properly, I get knocked out of my stance. But if he pushes and I turn my hip properly, he gets knocked out of his stance. So it gives you a nice feedback whether or not you're doing it right. So instinct, turn the hip, tactic, release the hip. Because when you're fighting, think about it. You're fighting, the guy goes to throw a punch, and then you go like this, and then you go like that. It makes no sense, right? So we have to understand that, you know, we're going to move the hand from where it is in space straight into the defensive portion. If something comes down here, I'm going to move my hand down. I'm not going to set it up. If something comes here, I'm going to move my hand here and here. So because of that, this setup doesn't make sense. You're not going to move forward into a strike either. That doesn't make sense. So why do we do it? And the instinct and tactic concept fits it very well and makes it make a lot more sense. So that is a huge benefit and tool when trying to educate your students about instincts or tactics. Okay, so this is a basic drill that can be taught prior to the Ilsusik, and it creates a technical loop where this will strengthen the Ilsusik will strengthen this, and you know, it just builds the skills. So, Mrs. Segarra, right there, please. Okay. All right. So, step forward. So, basically, what you're going to do is you're going to knuckle off one person distance. Okay. So you double knuckle from the shoulders. Okay. Then you're both going to cross your hands and drop into horse stance.
Yeah.
Okay. Then she's going to be the target. I'm going to be the attacker. She's not going to move. My first target's going to be to the head, to the head, to the neck. To the neck. She raises her arms at that point on number 5. Arms out to the sides, please. This way. Then ribs. She drops her arms back down. Strike to the solar plexus. Right? That's the first part of the drill. Now, the second time she's going to block. High block, middle block, low block, outside to inside, outside to inside. Okay, so that's one round. Okay, now we can alternate this as well. So if we go back to here, okay, so I knuckle off, we double block, she does not move. 1, 2, neck, she raises her arms up to the side, shoulder level. 3, 4, then she drops them back down, solar plexus. Now, she would attack me. I drop my arms, she goes hammer strike to the head. 1, 2, and chop to the neck. 3, 4, I raise my hand, she goes ribs, and then solar plexus. Now I attack to her, she's going to block on this round. 1, 2, 3, 4, low block, 5, 6 across, 7, 8. Then she attacks me. 1, 2, 3, 4, low, 5, 6, chest, 7, 8. Okay, paro. Then step back. Good. So that's a very simple drill that you can teach prior to it so they understand the targets and then they develop the blocking. Now that can segue right into the Ilsusik. So Mrs. Segarra's back here again. Okay. All right, so let's say we start off with this drill. Step forward, please. Okay. And we knuckle off, we cross hands, and kia! Now she is the target. She won't move. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now she attacks me. I'm the target. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. She blocks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. She attacks me. I block. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Then we go chunbi. Now we knuckle off, and we go back to chunbi, and then we do the regular one step. So I will attack. She moves to the side. She blocks 2 punches. Then she steps back with that side, jump front kick, and then she lands, and then we come back to the front, and boom. Okay, so we can segue right into that as an extra part of the drill. So the idea is to have some kicho motions. Now you don't have to do it that way. You can, while you're in class, if they're doing palpo-ki, for example, right? After they do so many punches, they can do in place the strikes. Okay, and then from there, they go into the blocks. So that's the way we teach in our dojang. We do punches, we do the hand strikes, and then we do the blocks. And then they partner off and they do the same thing. Partner blocks and strikes, and then they do the ishusik. And then we go into free sparring, hoshin, so whatever the theme is at that time. Now, when you do the motions, this is a nice opportunity to teach about what the targets do. So, okay, let's say she's in the horse stance, right? Hands are down. Okay, this strike is to the, move up a little bit, thank you. This strike is to the skull. Now, if you've ever seen a human skull, you'll see that there's fault lines and cracks in it. That's because as a child, the skull has to be flexible in order to come through the birthing canal. So because of that, babies are born with that soft spot, which later then closes up. But that fault line, that crack is always there. So it's like, which is easier to break, a board or board with a crack in it? Obviously the board with a crack in it, or where the crack is. So we're aiming for that. So that is a potentially fatal strike, because any strike that's close to the brain is potentially fatal. So the chop to the neck hits the vagus nerve, and that shuts the brain off. That's a knockout. Now, typically when that happens, the body just collapses. But if hit hard and knocked over, the body can then hit the head on the floor. So anytime the body's knocked backward and the body can fall, the head can hit the ground, that knockout can turn into a fatal strike. So we want to make sure that students understand. The next strike is to the ribs. So that is a paralyzation point. When you get hit in the ribs, the body buckles and you can't move for a couple seconds. And then the solar plexus, that's another paralyzation point that when hit there, the wind gets knocked out, they curl up in the ball and they can't continue. So we have fatality, strike, fatal strike, knockout, paralyzation, and paralyzation. Okay? So now when you, a paralyzation strike, if done not full power, can be turned into a stun, right? Knockout, if not done full power, can be a stunning strike. So you have basically fatal, knockout, paralyzation, stun. Typically there's one more called mute. Mute is when you get hit in the neck or poked in the throat and then you can't talk for a second or two. So that's a separate classification. Also, vision, any strike to the nose, the bridge of the nose between the eyes or the eyes themselves is a blinding strike. So those are your typical vital point strikes according to tradition. Fatal, knockout, paralyzation, stun, or pain. Pain sometimes is pressure point, where it is pain and you take your hand off, there's no pain. Joint locks, pain, release, no pain. Vision or blinding, and mute, and also deafness, which is striking the ear, so striking the ear. So those are your typical vital points according to traditional Korean martial arts.